What's up, sexy folks? I'm back today and I just wanted to make a quick little video, maybe answering some questions for people that are getting into their gun buying journey, looking to buy a rifle, a handgun, maybe have questions about cleaning, lubrication, that sort of stuff. And before I start this, I just want to say, take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm a regular civilian. I have no military background training or anything like that. I'm just one of those gun nerds that likes to learn about guns, things that work, things that don't, get other people's opinions. So feel free to drop the things that you like to use, maybe things that people don't know in the comments so that they can maybe latch on to something new. So let's get into it. All right, so for me at least, I know my first question when buying a rifle is, what should I be spending? Now, if you go back and watch previous videos, I didn't heed the advice that was given to me to spend, and this sounds like a lot, roughly $1,000 to $1,500 on a decent rifle. I instead went and spent $600 on an on-sale rifle from Radical Arms. Granted, it hasn't treated me that bad. However, it's on its last leg. So here's my opinion on the matter. If you're going to be purchasing your first rifle, it depends on two things. One, what kind of budget are you working with? And two, what kind of use do you want out of it? Okay, so if you're going to be using your rifle for primarily self-defense in your home and you're not going to be out on the range shooting it constantly, maybe something like a PSA rifle is for you, something that's about $600. If you're looking to plink at the range, sharpen your skills, work on drills, you might want to up your price so you can get a little bit you might want to up your price so you can get better quality parts that will last you longer. So I'm not going to do a review on this rifle. However, I'm going to tell you that this might be in your budget range because I received some questions at the range from another guy that was there. He was asking me about my rifle and how much he thinks he should spend because he had a lower tier to mid-tier rifle. This is a BCM rifle, and altogether this setup costs $1,500. Now, it's got the flashlight, the optic, the mag well, and BCM makes some decent quality parts. If you're running it suppressed, obviously you're going to get a shorter lifespan out of the bolt and all the inner workings with the gas and all that kind of stuff. However, if this is your price range and you're looking to, like I said, maybe go out, sharpen your skills, shoot, and use it for home defense, this is where I would start. I would start at a $1,500 price range. Maybe you can skim it, you can find some sales, that's great. Save all the money you can. This is just my personal opinion, okay? All right, so getting into what I believe you could still use for home defense and be out on the range and shooting, but this is where you end up shooting a lot more and you need something that's going to last and hold up. And also just because the quality of the parts is so much better, it's going to increase the price. So the BCM was about a mid-tier rifle. This will be classified as mid to high tier. This is a Geisley 14.5. The upper alone on this rifle is $1,500, and that whole BCM rifle costed $1,500. That will only get you the upper for this rifle. So, like I said, it's all about quality of parts, the lifespan of the rifle, and sometimes, unfortunately, it just has to do with the brand name of things these days. And that's where you're going to find yourself if you decide to bump it up to the next level and you have a little bit more money to spend. Now, when it comes to all the pieces of everything, the attachments, the scopes, the optics, the lights, the grips, all of it, that can be sourced at different websites to maybe, it can cost you less in total after you purchase everything. But that's really besides the point when you're talking about just the value of the rifle itself. Now, this sort of rifle is used for, lots of shooting, suppressed shooting, and just a long lifespan in general. And like I said, it's going to cost more just because of the name. So when you hit about the $2,000 to $5,000 price range, that's about your mid to high tier rifles. If you've got money to spend on an SR-15 from Knights, that's $15,000. Good for you. This is just your regular, everyday, average, civilian, mid to high tier rifle. All right, let's get into some other questions. All right, so I am a frequent user of YouTube Shorts. YouTube Shorts can be so great sometimes because I see some dudes out there getting after it, training hard. Good for y'all. But then there's just some absolute buffoonery going on YouTube Shorts. And it makes my brain melt into fucking pieces, okay? My advice is to find someone that, my credentials aren't there, but find someone that seems like they actually care about their firearms and are making strides to make themselves more knowledgeable and better in using it and learning the weapon in general, okay? Now, I've seen a lot of stuff regarding how do you manage cleaning off carbon off a flashlight that you've used out at the range, and it gets carbon on the lens of the flashlight, and it occludes your light. There's two options here. One option I'm not a huge fan of because I think it's kind of goofy, but at the same time I see the use in it because it actively prevents carbon from building up. But at the same time, I just don't want to be putting Vaseline on my lens. So, and we are clear. So say for example that I went out to the range and I shot and this had carbon all over the lens. A lot of folks will tell you, if you probably just ask any old person, they're going to say rub some Vaseline on it or petroleum jelly, whatever you want to call it, and it will keep the carbon off of there and it will not occlude your light whenever you go to turn it on, okay? That does work. I have used that trick before. I personally just think it's goofy. What I would do is buy some of this right here. This is C4 carbon remover. It takes 2 drops of this on that lens and it's completely gone. Do what you will with this information, okay? This is just one opinion to another. I'm not hating on the Vaseline trick. It's cool, it's great, and it actively prevents it. I'm just a fan of this. I don't want to be rubbing up my pistol with some damn Vaseline. I mean, maybe if I'm out there and I need to get a stroke in behind a tree, I might just go at it. You never know, okay? So let's get into the next question. All right, other questions I get or that I've gotten at the range is like, what's up with all the tape? Why do you tape stuff? Why do you tape this and why do you tape that? Okay, 2 reasons. One, I like the look, personally. I'm a gun guy and I constantly surf the internet. I surf that shit for new looks, things I can add to my inventory of guns, okay? If I can look a little steezy, I'm gonna look a little steezy while I'm doing it, all right? But there are practical uses for tape, wrap, whatever you want to call it. This was Ranger wrap. I don't even remember who I got it from. I just got it, wrapped it around the grip of my pistol, and it kind of just absorbs some sweat, but other than that, it looks cool. Now, let me show you where it actually makes a little bit more sense. All right, this is my Glock 19X clear, and I have the same Ranger wrap on the grip of this pistol. I do not like the way that the Glock grip is stippled. I think it doesn't hold up under sweat. I have sweaty hands. This absorbs a lot of sweat, gives me a better purchase whenever I go to draw this from my concealment or from my duty holster. I just prefer the way that it feels, and it actually covers up the work that I did here on the back side, so I can run the extended beaver tail back strap and my mag well. But yeah, so that's the reason I run tape on my pistols, and you can run them on rifles. A lot of folks, especially if you have like an M-lock rifle. Actually, let me grab. Like I said, especially if you have an M-lock rifle, a lot of folks will take wrap and wrap it right here around the grip, so whenever they go to purchase, it's a little bit thicker for them, and it might also protect their hand a little bit from the heat that builds up from constant firing. All right, so last thing I can think of is cleaning and lubrication. There's 2 things that I use personally, and I got this from my local gun shop. It's called Breakthrough Clean Technologies. It's battle-born high purity oil, but it cleans as well as lubricates. And I use this for my rifles alone. I do not put anything else but this on my rifles. I'm just particular about it. However, when it comes to my handguns, I am a fan of the gun butter. This is a much thicker solution than the oil. As you can see, that is moving quite a bit. This is like literally like melted butter, okay? So whenever I go to apply this on my handguns, it keeps that oil from splashing back out of the backside of the pistol. Whenever I go to fire it, it's thicker, so all that extra, whenever you go to fire your pistol right after lubricating it, this will keep it from doing that. I'm not sponsored by any of this shit. I just wanted to let y'all know that it's out there. If y'all have any other questions, drop a comment. Maybe I can answer it for you. I'm just a regular dude, all right? Deuces.